Welcome back. We're going to learn a little bit more about one of TSM's newest members, Bugi. Draw my LCS and LJL and LMS and LLA life. Bugi. Lee Bugi Sung-yup is a South Korean jungler who made his competitive debut in the LJL Challenger Series in 2017. In 2018, Bugi joined Machi in the LMS. The team made it to regional qualifiers, but narrowly lost to J-Team 2-3 and failed to make the World Championship. The next year, while on Flash Wolves, Bugi won the LMS 2019 Spring. Bugi and Flash Wolves finished 5th at that MSI. This was considered a surprise since Flash Wolves had lost key members that year in Maple and Sword Art. Back in the LJL on V3, Bugi became an in-game leader, playing whatever his team needed him to while winning the league and going to Worlds in 2020. He was known as being a very adaptable jungler and a macro leader on this team. In 2022, while on Astral Esports, Bugi was one game away from becoming a champion in 3 different regions, the LMS, the LJL, and the LLA, but his team lost 2-3 to Isurus Gaming. While climbing to rank 1 in NA playing from the LLA, my dream LCS was Bugi's in-game name. Bugi is a creative and adaptable jungler. Now on TSM, he looks to prove himself further. And so I think the big thing for me in talking about Bugi and not necessarily his playstyle, but what he's been able to do for pretty much every team he has been on. This is just gonna run through some of his Elise pathing and returning to the bot lane over and over again in their past game. But I think the big thing about Bugi is that he tries to become whatever his team needs him to. He tries to become a leader on every single one of his teams once he can communicate with them. And he has a really good understanding of where he needs to be. So this is just gonna speed through him basically returning to the bot lane on pretty much at every minute, right? So.
Yeah, and for me, I definitely slept on Bugi and the effect he'd have on TSM at the start of the year. I know we're just 2 games in, and I know there's actually a decent chance that they don't win this week, but in terms of being a 10th place team, like, Bugi himself is just ridiculously impressive. The history you just alluded to in Draw My Life, Emily, and kind of a random anecdote, I literally just tuned into a solo queue game that he played, just one on stream where he played in Italy, and it felt like there were 5 montage-worthy plays just in that game alone. Part of how he was able to get rank 1 in NA solo queue playing on LATAM ping, and also one of the ways he was able to help TSM start 2-0. I think he's an insane player.
The solo queue point on how he was able to do that while on LATAM ping, and also I think Champions Queue did a lot of good and really getting a lot of respect for his gameplay. I remember just like, while everyone was streaming Champions Queue, I think it was actually Double-If when he was not on the team at the time, talking about like how impressed he was in Bugi's play. And so the fact that he's found himself honestly finding his dream in the LCS as a journeyman is an inspirational story.
Yeah, and I remember Azael actually went around and talked to like a lot of the coaches and compiled this document. And the one thing that Charlie said is he was like, we really did want to be able to get these players who were really hungry to win. And obviously his name was My Dream LCS. In talking to Namir, who watched him in LJL a lot, the big thing that he really wanted to stress is just how adaptable he can be depending on what his team needs him to do.
Yeah, and we've seen that. I think the success you focused on how they play towards bot lane, but it feels like that duo that they have mid lane with Maple has been really working out. And the team fighting is something that people are pointing out, that their team fighting is quite good. And a lot of it is based off of how he plays alongside Maple.
Yeah, one thing with teams is there's a collection of individuals, and then it's also how the individuals work together. And it feels like, at least in 2 games, who knows if this is going to maintain, but TSM has been greater than the sum of their parts.
Yes.
Right? Bugi and Maple are able to shine. I feel like Neo and Chime haven't needed to do too much, and Neo has been there. And Solo has actually absorbed a lot of pressure, but still, if I'm taking the Immortals game they had and using it as an example, he fell very far behind, but was still the first player to team fights, which is not something that's easy to do as a side laner. So overall, just a great start to the year for TSM.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about a lot of teams that have kept their core together, right? We said CLG, who've kept their whole team, C9. TSM has done that, and it really feels like it's working. Some of their parts, especially the guy in front of you right now, Chime and his Ashe, the one who's just landing arrow after arrow, it makes it easier to be able to just slot into this team with a team that already is functioning quite well.
Yeah, got to get this in before this becomes a cursed segment, because EG, even though they're 1-1, was the most dominant early game team of week 1. I think they were plus 3,400 gold on average at 15. The game they lost was to CLG. So I still think EG is the big favorite in this matchup.
Yep, yeah, agreed.
But wanted to call out TSM for their 2-0.
Yeah, we did want to highlight Bugi and TSM. I believe we all predicted EG for this match for Unified. But we'll see what happens. And Raafaa and Cody are here to bring you that call.
Muchas gracias, Emily. And bienvenidos, everyone. Welcome back. Last game of the day, first day of the week 2 LCS. Man, I'm still getting used to that. We're in spring season of LCS all over again, but I'm just, not to take anything away from the stage, but just being behind the desk, man.
And it's, I mean, it's kind of a halfway because we're in the crowd now with the desk as well.
I do love that.
Feels like, you know, we've merged. I'm super excited, you know, for this matchup though, especially. I like how the analyst desk is kind of jumping on this TSM hype. With their week 1 2-0. I was talking on the dive. I was already, you know, talking about how they've been already underestimated this season. I was ready to bump them up a little bit up the standings.
A little nudge in the power
Exactly,
rankings.
a little nudge in the power rankings. Obviously, Evil Geniuses, the biggest question for them and power ranking for people was, how will the team look like without Impact? Because Impact does so much for teams. And even though they got this, you know, 100 Thieves package of Ssumday and FBI, which is very good.
Yeah.
You know, integrating those parks definitely looks like it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
When you have this kind of very volatile performance from Jojo, mixed with a lot of these other very talented players, then yeah, they still get some really big gold leads, but did, of course, lose the one game, and we jump right into that champ select.
The one thing I wanted to touch on is I caught up with Kelsey right before, who, you know, kind of oversees everything now in terms of the coaching staff for EG. And one of the big things that she was excited about bringing Ssumday and FBI is that even though FBI and Ssumday are very used to playing a certain style of team fighting back over at 100 Thieves, FBI in particular has been great at receiving feedback and just being super moldable and super adaptable. So there's a lot of expectation, but a lot of faith in putting someone like FBI after having not only Danny, who was a breakout star, and then even Cowrie, who lived beyond expectations over in the international team at Worlds. But back over to reality here for Evil Geniuses, and that faith is going to go to Lucian, which Kelsey has been very highly spoken of for FBI.
All right, we're going to get the same matchup then, because it's an instant lock-in response from Neo.
Oh, no way.
With the Draven, baby. Lucian versus Draven, and they're going to steal the Nami away as well, as is the exact same recipe. All right, EG, what you got, Vulcan? Are you going to pull out the Sona as well? What kind of variables we throwing in here? I expect, you know, support plus jungle here. Grab something like Vi, which is still very good early game jungler.
As is tradition.
As far as ganking, but also ultimate really nice in trying to take down the Draven later on. So the Lulu pairing here with the Lucian. Let's see about possible jungle though. I mean, I guess you could blind pick a solo lane. Both Ssumday and Jojo are pretty confident, but I would definitely prefer jungle.
I guess it depends. If you went for a solo lane and then you could force TSM to say, hey, you better get your counter pick in now, or we're going to start taking away counter pick options in the second round of phase. But Evil Geniuses, man, one of these days, Kobe, I'm going to see a Lee Sin game or a Nidalee game. I know we're not in that meta right now. I did see that in not this next patch, but Lee Sin's getting a buff sometime soon. I don't know if it'll be enough. I would die to cast more Lee Sin.
Lee Sin is definitely always fun, especially with some of the TikTok technology that
dude. That's I almost swore again. That stuff is crazy.
Anyways, we can follow on through here. As expected, that vibe pick I was talking about, locked in for EG and responded to by the Wukong. talked about it already, but Black Cleaver, plus a lot of these bruiser items, while they did make a concentrated effort in taking out Omnivamp, they actually buffed a lot of the bruisers by adding ability haste onto onto a lot of the bruiser items as well in compensation.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them are in a really good spot. Wukong and Vi were already in good spots. They just got a little bit of a nudge here as well. I think Vi can make a little bit more of the early passes because of the Vault Breaker Flash.
Yeah.
You can pretty much always at least trade Flash with somebody, whereas Wukong, as stated, definitely prefer to get the level 6 first, but
Yeah.
can definitely scrap for himself too.
Yeah, it's something like what we saw, I think, at top of the day, where Closer burned Flash on Jensen, and it didn't look pretty, but it got the job done, and they repaid the gank tenfold when Dirksen hit level 6. So it's going to be all about where can Inspire hit first. And if you take inspiration from the previous game where they got that early level 1, make it towards the bot side of the map.
All right, I think here with the Jackson Fiora ban, we are setting up for some more Ssumday gaming as well. TSM with the double bans there. Meanwhile, EG a little bit more worried about the mid lane here. Don't want Maple scaling too much. Maple, Kassadin, Azir, both off the list for him. And one of the biggest matchups coming into this series is mid jungle. Inspired in Jojo, one of the most hyped mid jungle in the LCS of all time. There's that Ssumday I already mentioned, goes without saying with those super protection bans. But Bugi and Maple are the shining star here for TSM. If this mid jungle is successful, then this team will be successful. So this is a really good test going up against some LCS God Squad here with Inspired Jojo.
It's where the rock of TSM needs to be for this season or this year, if they, assuming nothing changes on this roster as the year progresses. Now, Gwen, you've been hyping up this counter pick pretty much all day, even in the green room. We got to see a little bit on one of the games, and now Ssumday gets to pilot it into the Ssumday.
All right, definitely have full faith in Ssumday here on the Gwen. The best, in my opinion, pick into the Ssumday. And we're going to throw down. Okay, it is going to be another one of the Ryze games. Roaming to the Gwen, always very effective, but it is double AP. So double AP versus Ssumday is nice since Ssumday always wants to do Iceborne Gauntlet, but Iceborne Gauntlet was changed to be full armor. And so this kind of forces the Ssumday to be a little more honest with his early build here. Less you have to deal with a roaming Ryze plus a Gwen, a lot of AP damage there.
Right.
So you can't really rush into your preferred item.
On the flip side, Maple, another classic from him, it's that Galio. Not many other mid laners are really taking a champion like him, but it's once again the idea and the core for this TSM roster is Bugi and Maple need to be moving on the map together. And what a combo to have Cyclone into Hero's Entrance.
And actually, if you were watching earlier today when we had Sven on the caster desk, he brought up that Galio right now in scrims is also one of the premier counter picks into specifically Ryze.
Yep.
Which it has been for a while. You know, the roaming, matching, plus the lane is quite nice. And Maple plays a ton of this champion. In watching the Champions queue as well as his own stream. Definitely has been a long time lover of Galio. So all things kind of coming together here for a really good last pick to round it out for TSM. I like this draft from both sides here. The kind of rebuttal here at the very end coming in. See if it can actually find success. Galio plus Wukong, crazy good initiation when you're playing against these low range carries.
And you definitely want to do that for someone like Neo, who I would say stepped above what the fans' expectations were for him and the rest of TSM coming into week 1, playing pretty darn well on the Lucian against Immortal specifically, and then even the upset against TSM. Neo, your jungler and mid laner and your tank in solo is going to create a lot of space for you. We're going to see how well it comes to fruition, as we saw the Draven lane not go to the winning side in our last game. Maybe Neo can be the changer here.
And we get the Ghost Flash Galio. This is the most annoying Galio. Definitely look out for either mid laner. If you call jungle, help push out the wave here is a really, really big bonus to your move timer. You can get that mid laner coming with you, even pre-6. Ghost Galio has huge roaming effect. So jungle battle here is really interesting because, you know, how much attention they pay towards mid lane is going to have a really big effect as well. Both Jojo and Maple, if you get any sort of leverage, getting to have that roam as well towards bottom lane. So looks like it's going to be top side start here for Bugi on the Wukong, but bottom side start here for Inspired.
Interesting ward from Maple. I imagine that, oh, hold up.
Everybody wants to do the top lane jungler invades now.
And now everyone has to adapt. We're going back to a meta where top laners are forced to peel for their jungler and
the brush camp.
I mean, this is not the start you want to have as Draven. It's a great trap from FBI and Vulcan. Both heal, flash, burned. There was no flash because Neo realizes that he was doomed either way. First blood goes over to EG.
Oh, the Dravens are not loving it today. It is not a good day to be a Draven main. The Lucian camp have been just monstering on them. That is no barrier for him. Neo did save his flash because then he's like, all right, I'm dead. Realizes it, saves it. And it is 3 summoner spells burned to the 2 on the side of TSM, but still such a big camp here in the brush. The classic, waiting for them as they walk through the river. And the focus fire there from FBI and Vulcan.
Yeah.
Cracking himself up.
I'm just curious now from TSM, like, as Bugi, are you compelled to make your way towards the bottom side of the map and give some pressure relief just so that Neo can safely get some of the CS that's about to crash into his tower?
You kind of are, but also one of the oldest rules of jungling is you try to avoid the losing lanes. So what you would rather do is what I was kind of trying to hype up earlier, which is play through mid lane and get your mid laner to come down as well. If you can win the mid jungle, then you can actually make your mid jungle spill over to bottom lane and bail out bottom lane that way. Problem is, Inspired jumping on that Raptor camp, steals it away from Bugi here. Really good cross play.
No, doesn't have much mana left. Has the flash out of the taunt, but it's still max range. Inspired is here to maybe salvage it, but TSM still fire back. And don't tell me they actually make the play on the Inspired. Wow! Bugi doesn't die either.
Oh, Inspired flashes out before one more auto to try and finish off Bugi, and that's the mid jungle. Raafaa, that's exactly the play. They win the mid jungle 2v2. Inspired's not done though. Fixes up this crab while Ssumday chases solo away from it. But they are able to get the kill on the mid lane, and it's double summoners instantly forced. So Maple now has flash advantage on this Galio. That could be their way, you know, to try and get a cash in for Draven on the bottom side, because since Neo died so early, he's actually able to get back. I mean, as soon as FBI picks up the majority of this minion wave, they should be able to close that CS gap, but still definitely will be the target.
Just like you said, you know, it's going to be down to Maple and Bugi to really create a pressure pivot, since Neo and Chime already kind of lost their footing early on. And just watch this again.
And this is why, with the ghost here for the Galio, able to get just enough range. Jojo flashes, but still in range. And Inspired got one auto, then flashed away. Didn't want to get bursted down with the 220 or so HP he still had. But that is such a heartbreaker, as Bugi lived with sub 20, down in the teens there. HP not able to burn him.
It's going to be all about how Solo positions his third Q on a Ssumday. Flown in, but great dodge from Ssumday. Now, looking ahead here, Maple and Bugi are going to have flash advantages over Jojopyun and Inspired. If Maple can get his way to level 6 ASAP and you make a play when you still have flash advantage, or you can just revisit mid lane because the bubble from Chime connects on a flashless Ryze, and it's just too damn easy for TSM. Code, what year is this?
Say his name, Maple, baby. 2 kills on the Galio. The counter pick that was foretold by support King Sven made its way here. And it is not even level 6 yet. Once Maple gets to level 6, the pain is really going to arrive.
FBI and Vulcan, better be careful. I hope everyone is communicating where Galio is at all times, because if he ever disappears from mid lane, you gotta back up. You gotta imagine that there's a giant rock monster coming your way.
This is a bold start here from Inspired. Jungle with the losing mid lane here, just going to try and rush Dragon, see if their bottom lane can get there enough DPS. They're gonna do it.
Wow.
Nice.
They sneak this off. They pull it off.
So bottom lane push early is enough DPS. They're going to rotate over. Inspired gets it. Crab taken as well.
You can take FBI out 100 Thieves, but you can't take the Thief out of him, baby.
There they go. Inspired level 5 now. Going to go finish this as well. Takes away the control ward. Level 6 acquired for Maple, though. Be careful about those invades. He's got flash advantage still over Jojo.
Yeah. All right. Really huge pickup for EG. It's just getting that early dragon helps stave off the pressure that is being felt from the jungle mid combo right now from TSM. Still, flashes are burned down off of Inspire and Jojopyun, so there's still this window. Maybe they're waiting for Bugi to hit level 6, and then after he hits it, immediately beeline bot lane.
You know, bot lane prowl thing. Bailing EG out. That level 1 brush camp in the river from FBI and Vulcan. Still paying dividends. Pretty nice here with a 100 gold lead and the dragon for EG, despite all the fireworks around mid lane for TSM and the hype for this big first Galio ultimate. EG pretty happy with the way things are going.
It's still just surprising to see like TSM just coming out with such a damn good start. But one of the things I think, talking with the players, especially in Chime in a recent interview with Nick Garrissey of Upcomer, a lot of it not only attributed to Chawi, but also their manager Gwen, who both former pro players, they just understand what the team needs from them and to be the most efficient. And I mean, Chime is specifically like, hey, I know why people are doubting us, but the doubt needs to stop. Like, because we're a good team and we're gonna surprise a lot of people this season.
TSM's wrath will be swift.
Hell yeah, baby.
Oh, these peasants thinking we aren't good. All right, Rift Trail does have a ward on it, but Inspired's level 6 now as well. Vi ultimate ready, and Bugi's still trying to get his level 6 off Raptor camp. There we go, gets it off the big Raptor. Bottom lane's not really moving up. Nami's ahead of Draven, so it's going to be an early arrival for the EG bottom lane. Draven trailing.
Clone in. Maybe go for the steal. 864s. Who got it? I don't know who claimed the Rift Herald, but the fight is still on. Hero's entrance just forces EG to back off, but they space it out. It looks like EG still claimed the Rift Herald, smitered away. They got to walk up. Ssumday is the one that claims it, and now Solo is left all by himself, but he all out-inspired over the wall. Gets the flash, but he leaps right on over to the blast cone, and he's out of there.
A yoink right there. It is going to be the Rift Herald for Inspired for EG. Draven stayed bottom lane though, so you see Neo pushing on the tower plates. How many will it cost? Here goes one for the Draven. Cannon wave into the tower as well, pushed out for him. No bloodshed though up there with the quick work on the flash.
Honestly surprising. I think they still technically had summoner advantage at that point, but not really to capitalize off it for TSM.
I like the move from EG though, you know, committing the bottom lane to rotate up here, because now some of the biggest danger for them has passed. Your first ultimate from Galio, from Wukong, and from Ssumday resulted in no deaths on your team. That is really good for EG. And they were able to get the Rift Herald with winning the Smite fight right there. In the hands of Ssumday is actually more ideal than Inspired going to pick up the eyeball.
Yeah.
Because you can just funnel extra gold and pushing power into the Gwen, which will match up so nicely versus this Ssumday, who is, you know, since you value the Iceborne so much, he's actually still going for it, even though he's versed double AP solo lanes. So he is going to have a very painful time versus this Gwen with so much possible early power once you get her Rift Herald activation down. And does mean Jojo now on the rise. He's got the priority, has the roam, has flash, has realm warp advantage over the Galio ult.
And Jojo, maybe after that first death, sits up straighter in his chair and says, okay, I'm back. Second death is like, okay, guys, I'm going to play for serious, I promise.
And I'd love to see him roam towards topside, so you can get a topside play into a Rift Herald play for Ssumday and get full value out of the turret plates. If you can bully down top lane and get this Gwen into a massive carry threat here, supercharge her items and especially take down that tower, open up the extra room.
Oh, Inspired's here. I mean, Bugi wants to make the play happen, but Inspired potentially reading the situation here for the counter. Depends on who commits first. I mean, Bubble's there. Bugi wants to go in, but great exhaust from Vulcan, and it's all an elaborate ruse, and the trap has been sprung by Evil Geniuses. But the damage from Bugi is a lot. It forces Inspired out. FBI trying to cull as much as he can. Not enough damage on either side from these teams. No one goes down in the fight.
Not quite yet. Mid laner's also meeting up in the river. Maple was able to stop the roam here from Jojo despite Realm Warp being used. So Jojo no longer has the Realm Warp to try and make the look topside, but Ssumday's doing it himself. Ssumday Gwen is chopping Solo down. Slowly but surely. Gets up to the tower again, and he's so low as well.
What is this?
This is the trailing port. Okay, so this is the play I wanted. The Ryze go to Ssumday's lane, make the hard play on the Rift Tail. Yes, get Ssumday super fed, ensure that they can take down the tower as well.
Recall.
Nice little hover from Jojo, even though his Realm Warp to bottom side did not work out.
B-lines from Wukong and Nami too. And they know this dive is happening, but I don't know if they're gonna get there in time. I fear it's a little too late. Oh, here's entrance.
Nice.
And clutch shield from Solo. He lives.
Yeah, Magic Shield does save him in the end. They don't full commit here for EG seeing the Galio ult, but the turret plate is one more auto left. Jojo's gonna stick around as Ssumday goes to purchase.
Whew. Solo's thinking Maple after that one. Gotten so close to going down. Not quite first turret for Evil Geniuses, but still 2 minutes to go for a couple more plates. I mean, we've talked about it before. Solo is very okay with absorbing pressure, but already you don't want to get a Gwen this funnel going in the top side of the map.
I mean, especially if you can match up versus Cassante, stay there again. You would love to have one-on-one time with Solo since 50 armor, Iceborne, not going to do a lot versus the Riftmaker. And Solo's like, okay, I'm out. Let's go. Let's go to the dragon fight. Make sure we can try and start up this objective. It's like EG not going to let it go that easily, though. Ssumday, his teleport is ready. It's not unleashed, so would have to teleport to a tower. If and there he is. He's coming. Ghost is ready.
Where's the flank angle? That's going to be the question here. FBI Inspired and Vulcan on the right side. Jojopyun can be on the left side, but he has Flash. Does he want to just Realm Warp in? No, he doesn't even have it. The fight is already happening on the bottom side of the map. Jojopyun is not in the fight yet, but it's okay because Evil Geniuses are cutting them beautifully. FBI gets to move on forward because Ssumday tanks up the takeout, and now FBI gets to step on forward. Looks for the triple, dash it in. It's a quadra kill for FBI.
And that's going to be the dragon as well for Evil Geniuses. They're happy to take the fight. Great. They ulted Ssumday into the team, and he's just in the middle, chopping him to bits as well. Inspired also getting out there from under the Wukong ultimate, living as well on the Vi means only one death for EG. Grabbing up the dragon, extending this lead. That's going to be the completion of the Radiant Virtue as well for Inspired, with that huge teamfight advantage now afterwards with all the healing, with the ability haste. Here's how it started out though. Jojo trying to get a little bit of poke onto Solo on the top side while the rest of the team moves up towards Dragon. Inspired flashes away to gain distance, and then since Bugi and the taunt here from Galio both used on Inspired, look at FBI and Ssumday ripping them apart.
Yeah.
Jojo completed the flank, so Inspired on this Vi, happy to absorb all of the early CC from TSM. Meant that FBI, Ssumday, Jojo, ripped them apart. Smiles there from him. Even though he went down there on the last auto, still did his job.
Oh, and meanwhile, during the replay and Ssumday's smile cam, Solo is caught out here. Should be the easy Rift Herald pickup for Evil Geniuses. TSM trying to trade this pressure both mid lane and bottom side.
Solo tower gold for the level 11 Gwen. Even though he has no kills, that's this very scary 0-1 Gwen. Gonna be able to push in as well.
Not a phrase you hear often, but you gotta believe it.
All right, bottom side match here for Jojo. Can he get there in time? Maple trying to answer, and he will be able to clear out the minion wave. So no answer here. No objective bounty shut down for TSM in response. Still no towers for them.
All right, we still got a few more minutes before the next dragon is up on the board, but at this point, just trading waves, and as EG continues to push their vision line further into the jungle of TSM.
And EG gets to push every single lane first. So
good God.
It's very painful for TSM when You get to continue to win the mid lane here with FBI and the Lucian. Excuse me.
I think Maple was caught,
Yeah,
so he was like, help, 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 help.
Must have seen the bottom side here closing in on him. It's like, I'm out.
The walls are closing in, Kobe.
But yeah, so EG, they get to shove perma pressure mid lane, and their side lane pressure is unmatched with these two split pushing AP threats. Ssumday and Jojo, both fully operational.
Oh, this is going to be a thick gold advantage coming in. 2 turrets being taken swiftly. I mean, Solo's trying to make work on the other side of the map, but Evil Geniuses, they're strong enough that they can just make this dive happen. Ssumday dodges out most of it with the miss. I think Ssumday is going to go down once again, but, you know, Ssumday, I think it's all for the cause of getting more turret advantage off the map.
Okay, that was for just the cause of you think you're too strong right now. you think you're invincible because you're winning the game so much. Yeah, that was ill-advised. A little bit of an overextension right there. They always see the K'Sante towards top, so they know that is a step too far, my friend. Gwen may be OP, but not that OP. And honestly, not even OP anymore. Just a good counter pick.
It's definitely not the glory days of Gwen where you could just blind pick her, flex her into 3 different lanes at some point, jungle and mid lane, and for some melee matchups.
Definitely still scales super well, though. So we'll get to the god status
Just not right
eventually
now.
here. Yeah, 5 stacks on Jojo's rod, a little bit ahead of Maple as well. Means that, guess what? The split pushing woes will continue for TSM as the Ryze and Gwen get right back out to the side lanes, and they continue to just starve them. Objective bounties on screen, just another vote for how far ahead they are at 17.5 minutes here for Evil Geniuses. 3K at this time period, pretty significant with Dragon number 3 coming up.
Yeah. We have another minute before Evil Geniuses can look for this next dragon. I mean, TSM, you got to get vision lined in there, otherwise you're not going to have access.
So, I gave the same hope in the last game to the Draven team, about killing the Lucian with a big gold bounty.
Yep.
And it happened. You know, they had a K'Sante, they ulted him, they assassinated him, did some K'Sante things.
It's almost
So
like
I'm going
we're
to give
in
that same hope to TSM. You need to get that assassination on FBI, get that big sack of gold. That is the hope to try and get back into this one. Maybe if you can pick him off. There's also objective bounties up for the taking. So try and concentrate your efforts because you do have the tools to get the kill. Even though it's a fed champion, it is still a squishy champion. So Wukong ultimates into Galio ultimate. Draven just ults over the top. Hopefully he can steal the money, for the cash in with his execute, and try and fund their way to a winning team fight.
I mean, TSM already trying to fight for mid control. They're going to sack a little bit of the wave, but Evil Geniuses, it's only 1 minion. And right now, TSM getting first access into the river, into the pit. Control ward blocking out vision from Evil Geniuses. So now, Maple shadow guarding this bottom flank entrance, but Evil Geniuses just brute force their way in. Teleport is coming out now from Solo. But this is a 5-on-5 kind of team front to back, and Ssumday has a great flank angle. Watch for this, because if Maple cannot keep Ssumday out, there's going to be a lot of problems for TSM, as a giant scary doll is going to be cutting them down to size with these scissors.
Gonna come down to the spy fight.
Tidal wave, they go into Jojo, but can you get to FBI? You called it out before, Kobe. They're using all these tools, but no one is taking out FBI, and Ssumday has an all-access pass to the back line of TSM. They're getting cut down to size. This time, it's Ssumday's time to shine. Evil Geniuses wipe the floor with TSM.
Snip, snip, and goodbye, TSM. Evil Geniuses will win that team fight, pick up the dragon. They bolster their coffers, 5,000 now, the gold lead. Yeah, good luck keeping that Gwen out. Ssumday runs right in there, has the ghost, so it's even more fearsome. Good attempt from TSM as far as the combo, and they did take down one target, Jojo. They're the Ryze after the flash was used.
But they're not getting to FBI, Kobe.
Yeah, they just don't have enough in the tank at this point. Don't have enough resources. So here's another look at it. Maple had eyes on Ssumday, but they go forward. They try and run away from the Gwen into the double carries.
Yeah.
FBI here does a good job. At the last second, he dashes out of the Galio range, so he's able to kite back. And then even though they take down the Ryze, Ssumday already chopping everybody up in the back line.
Just seeing even the tools from Inspired and Vulcan. As soon as Inspired sees Bugi commit with the Cyclone, instant ult reaction. wild growth as well to make sure that everything is stopping TSM from getting access to FBI, because he's the only one, or one of the only ones, that has that massive bounty on him. And Evil Geniuses with the lead, 4,000 gold up, they feel confident to start up the Baron. Solo has taken a turn on the other side, but he has no teleport, so it's a 5-on-4 in advantage of Evil Geniuses. FBI has found Nia. You better open up, buddy, because FBI is here, coming in to clean up. Evil Geniuses once again gain control and advantage.
Yep, that's a 21-minute Baron right there, served up on a platter. The call from TSM is to get objective bounties, though. The call is never, oh, we're going to win a Baron fight. The call is, hey, Ssumday is going to get these objective bounties. He got this one down here already. He's going for number 2. Continues on with this hard split push. Can we get a look at how close he is? Can he finish it off? Teleport coming down. Should be able to finish it. One more night.
Oh.
That's 2 objective bounties at least for TSM. The call there is always, hey, we cannot win a team fight at Baron, so do your best to steal it. Good luck getting in there.
Yeah.
And I will split push and get objective bounties regardless. Best case scenario, hey, Bugi gets in. We get a magical flip on the Baron, and we would love, of course, to get
Always love to see
a
them.
steal on that. But yeah, worst case, at least you still get the 2 towers in trade.
Uh-oh. Inspired saying, Bugi, this blue buff no longer belongs to you, my friend. This is my property now.
As is all of the TSM jungle. EG closing in on mid and bottom as well. Ssumday pushing up here. We'll catch up shortly. They finish off the camps, move out tower number 1. Maple gonna go for the recall on the Galio here, and he does have his ult plus flash available. Wonder if TSM can make a quick play. Ssumday is on the bottom side. If they could fight even 5 seconds of a team fight without Ssumday there for TSM would be glorious. Trying to get a 5-on-4 for 5 seconds, maybe you get an assassination on one of those targets.
Yeah, there are a couple wards on the top left flank here. Solo's TP is coming up. If Evil Geniuses overextend, maybe you can fish for something, give Maple an easy hero's entrance onto the backline as well. But I feel like that's really the only super viable option.
Yeah.
Because frontlining 5-5 has not been working.
At the very least, FBI does not have flash.
Okay. Q3 on the Jojopyun. I mean, he's still fine. I mean, once again, they commit tools on the Jojopyun, but no one is committing tools on the FBI. Tidal Wave comes in. Maple's hero's entrance doesn't connect onto the backline. And once again, the story is the same. TSM, yes, they find Jojo or they find Ssumday, but no one can find FBI. And if you can't take this guy out, you might as well F them.
Yep, you might as well open up, as you said, and they're going to open the door themselves. Evil Geniuses. Bottom tower will be paper. That thing is gone. Mid lane, the second one in their eyes.
Clean stuff from Evil Geniuses and strong bounce back after week 1. Kind of looking shaky in their 1-1 week. I know there's a lot of things that they have to work on, and something that we talked about at the top of the draft is how does this team look without Impact? Because we know that he does so much for them at being a leader out of the game.
I think people attribute a lot of the cleanliness, mid-game calls, late-game calls as well. So looking at how they're finishing this up, and FBI remaining legendary here, 8 kills to his name, deathless. Heal has come back up. Mikhail's has been finished by Vulcan, so they've got the safety for him.
Yeah.
He's able to stay on the outskirts, even though they do sacrifice Jojo most of the time. They're still able to get well worth Jojo's weight in gold.
I mean, FBI is having the time of his life right now. This is Deathless Lucian,
Solo
almost
is not.
10 kills. The calling, I mean, Solo might be able to get out, but this is...
Yeah, distract him. Run him on a race.
Hey guys, I got him chasing me. You can farm mid and bot wave right now. It's okay.
The gargoyle stone plate keeps him alive.
Well, I feel like someone could go back and cue the Yakety Sax theme over that.
That is currently the most effective way to tank a Lucian.
True.
You gotta run him away.
Lure him away from the base.
Because he can't actually tank any shots, so you just gotta lead him on a chase.
That's what I'm saying, man. The Senju knows what's up. FBI's Lucian is cracked.
This is what a lot of people were really high hopes for this EG roster. When you see the merge of last year's 100 Thieves, Ssumday and FBI, with this EG core that got to stay around, this is what people are envisioning, the merge of especially FBI and Vulcan into one of the most fearsome bottom lanes. And we'll keep our eyes on tracking his ascent back to the top of the tier list for AD carries.
Yeah.
How quickly, how powerfully can they actually hold on to that position?
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Even talking with Jojopyun, one of Travis Gafford's recent interviews talked about, how has it been adjusting with Ssumday and FBI? It's like, I mean, they're really good players. They came from 100 Thieves. They played against us in the finals. They were there for a reason. And FBI, super funny, super awesome guy to work with outside of the game, but he just takes feedback and just wants to improve just as much. And I think FBI wants to show that he is one of the top ADCs in this league this year. As now TSM gonna make one last attempt at an engage, but they can't get onto the back line. And I'm not gonna repeat myself, Kobe. You already know the story. TSM, they're gonna throw everything that they have in the tank. Do they actually have, okay, wait, Caster Curse, oh no! FBI is taken down, but I think there's still enough firepower from the rest of Evil Geniuses. They finally get FBI, but you gotta deal with the super minions pouring in through the mid wave, through the bottom wave. Evil Geniuses, just a couple more auto attacks and a few more hits. Nexus turret, one falls. The second Nexus turret will follow. And TSM, one last attempt to maybe defend, but now you're dealing with 3 open inhibitors.
Much better look from Evil Geniuses this time around. They're gonna finish it up with all the minions at the fountain as well. Can they
Oh
finish
my
another
god.
kill?
Casper relax at the Q flash. They get a kill on Neo. Pat the KDA a little bit more. Evil Geniuses with the win.
Evil Geniuses cleaning it up here for week 2. Definitely better than the previous week. Jojo getting engaged on the majority of the time. FBI did go down once at the very end, but a nice snowball here for EG, pressuring ahead. No deaths for Inspired. The full tank Vi with the with the Radiant Virtue plus the Warmogs. Excessive amounts of health. Getting right in there, being the front person on the engage. Yeah, exactly. I mean, didn't die in that Dragon engage, absorbed all the CC of the opponents. Really nicely done by the squad.
Stronger look than the week 1. I think there's definitely still a few moments where some players got caught out at certain points in the game. Not pointing any fingers, of course, but I think for Evil Geniuses, one of the great looks that you got to see from this game is how well a draft and playstyle pivoted around FBI, one of the newer additions to this roster. How confident it can look.
And the Lucian versus Draven, round number 2.
Ooh.
Goes exactly the same way. This one, though, a level 1 river brush camp definitely affects the matchup quite significantly.
Tyler 1 in shambles. Draven mains all around the world crying right now. This is not how the matchup should be played out.
Able to snowball very effectively off that first blood, though, for EG. And that's going to do it for our first day of week number 2 here for the game.
We got one more day.
for day 1.
Day 1 in the books, though. And for Evil Geniuses, looking forward ahead. Obviously, the shakiness, as we kind of put it out before, the mid game is still something that they have to work on and improve. But I think considering the only problems they had was the early game, the mid 2v2, where we were both caught off guard and both surprised by Maple and Bugi turning that one on Jojo and Inspired's head. But I think afterwards, they got Drake uncontested, first Rift Herald uncontested, and it just seems like TSM didn't really have the best plan of getting access to FBI.
Yeah, I mean, they played around it really well. These Galio and Wukong combination ults, each one that we're pointing out, the early ones used and avoided by Evil Geniuses while still getting the Rift Herald.
Yeah.
Really opens up that big amount of breathing room early on, because the level 1 ulti, super long cooldown there. That's really all you have to worry about with this comp. After you've already gotten the level 1 kill onto the Draven, Wombo combo is the only thing that's going to take you down.
Yeah, well, that is it for Evil Geniuses and TSM, but we still have one Evil Geniuses member waiting, because we're about to join FBI and Emily for a Verizon post-game interview.
Hello and welcome. I'm here with the victorious FBI who You know, one legendary had a little death at the end.
Yeah.
Did the guys give you crap for that, or?
I kind of got baited a bit because Phil was like, yeah, I got Michaela, you can go hard. I kind of entered the ad flash the whole time, so it kind of sucked at that end, but a win's a win.
All right, we're going to go back to the beginning, I think, because this is the second game in a row that we've seen the kind of splitting up of Lucian Nami. Whoever picks either Lucian Nami first, the opposing team kind of ends up trying to split them up and apply pressure to the lane. Were you kind of expecting that to happen, or is it something you've been seeing more in scrims on the 13.1b patch?
Yeah, you've been seeing it happen around the world a lot. I wasn't really expecting it today, but I think it's kind of a trade-off because I feel like Draven and Nami isn't really the strongest pair of champions together either. And Lucian, Lulu, it's kind of whatever too, Lucian Sonar. So I'm not really too sure about it. I feel like both champions kind of just become weaker.
And then looking at just the state of Lucian generally, obviously you had a phenomenal Lucian performance today. He did receive a few nerfs on this patch, not enough to take him out. So I guess what are the strengths of this champion right now in the current bot lane 2v2 meta? Because we're seeing still so much kind of one-upmanship around bot lane pushing pressure.
Well, I think the Lucian Nami combination obviously is very strong. At most stages of the game, I'll say some matchups are pretty hard early, but when you get your mid-game spike of your Mythic Gale Force and Imperial Mandate, you kind of just run the server. So I think that's why it's like really strong, and then it also scales pretty well into the game. Other than that, I think Lucian without Nami is a bit weaker, a lot weaker actually, but yeah, I think it's still pretty fun to play.
Well, you still did really well, got a quadra kill around that river fight, and additionally won player of the game for your performance, so
cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is kind of previously, before coming on to EG, you were actually with Huhi for a 203 straight games
really?
together, yeah,
Wow.
before you guys separated. So just tell me what it's been like kind of playing with Vulcan now, swapping up bot lane partners and swapping up your entire team.
Yeah, I think it's been pretty refreshing and different. I think Phil is a really, really good player. And honestly, playing on this team, EG, the mid-jungle support trio, it's really easy to play AD carry for, actually. I think they're actually very smart about the game and they know how to execute a lot of plays. And I'm just sitting there doing my job.
With you and Ssumday coming into the established core, like you said, what have been some key communication points for you guys?
I don't really know off the top of my head. I feel like it's been pretty easy to slot in with the guys. I think they're all pretty friendly and funny, especially Jojo. He's very funny in like a bad way sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. It's been really fun to play with these guys, and it hasn't been too hard to slot in, I think.
You can get back at him for, you know, like dying in mid early if you want, or like teasing him about that.
I mean, Jojo absorbs a lot of pressure for the team, I would say, so I'll have to give him some credit there.
Nice. I'm just kidding anyway. But then lastly, going forward, I guess it's interesting to see how many people, myself included, that kind of put EG at the top of the table in terms of early season power rankings. Having added you and Ssumday, you specifically kind of bring a lot more pushing power to the early laning phase of bot lane. What is kind of this EG team's overall goal, and how well do you think you've been performing as a team thus far?
Well, I think every team is going to say their goal is to win both splits and all that. I don't think we're any different, but yeah, last week was a bit of a shocker, I think, the way that we played. So this week we really focused on cleaning up our mid game, and hopefully it showed today. We still could probably do better, but hopefully we'll do better tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And now we're going to head back to the analyst lounge.
That's closer. I think we're the LCS lounge now.
We're the LCS analyst area lounge.
Just LCS lounge is easy.
You have to add
We talked about this in the meeting.
This is the break pit. We all gonna start breakdancing, right?
in the pit.
Yeah. Welcome to the pit. Anyways, we got day one recap coming up. Emily will be joining us in a second, but we're gonna start off actually with game 5 because the interview to me was very interesting where FBI was talking about how well he's set up by the rest of the team. And got me thinking, like, he doesn't look exactly like how Danny looked in this team. They play differently, but in terms of output, in the 2 wins, his scoreline looks the same.
Yeah, the KDAs are very similar. It's so interesting because Danny was so incredible in team fights. You were saying, we haven't seen FBI need to Hulk out. The laning phase is definitely stronger though, so he has more gold when he's entering these situations. And like, what a system to walk into actually. Like any AD carry who could play for EG, I think because of how well they support AD carry, is gonna look good. FBI's gotta be really happy right now.
Yeah, the trio that he had, that he referenced to, it makes it so he can just do his job. The level 1 they didn't show was really well done. So great stuff overall. Like, I'm just really enjoying FBI's play. I think a lot of people as fans were just down on the idea of FBI coming into the team with preconceived notions, but always knew that he was a really talented player. He's a great laner, and they're making it work.
Yeah, he also gave some defense to Jojo there. Jojo absorbs a lot of pressure. He's a team player. All right, he's not inting, he's a team player.
Him and Summon, they're just like the most absorbent laners in the league.
Yeah, man, they're like bounty paper towels. They're so absorbent.
Someone needs to Photoshop that now.
Please don't.
I got a new sponsorship lined up for him. Here we go. Welcome back, Emily.
Yeah,
It works in a lot of ways because they make it so the enemy's worth gold again.
They make a
fun.
mess and they have to clean it up. All right, we're back to game 1 here. What'd you guys think of this one? C9 picking up their 3rd win.
I mean, before this, I think the cool thing was we saw that level 1 harass in the top lane that like we've seen from other tops like Wise Cam and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think first of all, Fudge is just
The reign of terror.
has been
pogs, hasn't he?
absolutely insane. Yeah. Every game he's played, he's one player of the game.
I wonder what the record is for most consecutive pogs. That's probably so hard to pull.
That team's going to have to go to work on that one.
I mean,
day and night.
most pogs in a split, probably doable. Consecutive pogs, that's asking for a lot. But he's 3 in a row. It's impressive.
It's just really fun to watch him play. And you mentioned the Wise Cam thing. I was looking on Twitter, a lot of junglers already completely triggered by the idea, saying if they're going up against any strong level 1 top laner, just defend him. And you saw that actually by the end of the day. Suddenly you have to leash for your jungler just so you have backup. Yeah. Sure, you can technically just have him sit in the bush so you can see him coming in, but then he's just pushed off his camp entirely and you're wasting time. So that seems to be the current adaptation. It's annoying.
Yeah. Fudge has done a great job so far. Glad to see him popping off after getting a little bit of flack for the World's performance.
That game was not close.
No, that was a stomp. We'll go into the next game. Game 2, highlights rolling up. Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest. Again, FlyQuest also rising to 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, Golden Guardians were keeping this competitive for the first, 15 minutes. The Rift Herald was one aspect of it. But then this play happened, and no cover were coming in from Golden Guardians.
Yeah, something else we picked up on in this game is Prince's first strike, Lucian, generated like 1,200 gold in the game.
Yeah.
The quick blade Cullings were seemingly always taking someone to 20%, so he wasn't getting kills, but he's just getting more and more items as the game went on.
Gory, I will say, for his debut in lane phase, worked a little well with River. They got, I think it was first blood onto Big Blood. And
Yes, it was the Huhi Lulu roam. The Lulu just coming up, slowing you. It was funny too because we saw Vikla a little earlier on. He referenced the Lulu. He's like, Lulu, the showmaker fist. So that was fun. Obviously a little salty about that.
Yeah, meaningless award. I think GG's the best 0-3 team.
Guys, he's got your stamp of approval.
Yeah, and close.
Yeah, I mean it's fair. Close versus evil geniuses happens. They just don't want to. They just don't want to lose. That's how it is.
100 Thieves picking up their 2nd win. Double Lift looking good, man.
Yeah.
And if you're doing way too early all pros, he's in that conversation. Top 2, top 3. I feel like Prince for most people is number 1 right now, but up beyond that, it's kind of open.
80 carry pool is definitely strengthened. It's funny because you come into the split and I'm immediately thinking Berserker number 1. But yeah, you mentioned Prince. Doublets is another. Yeon has actually a really good day today. And that's just talking about the new 80 carries that are kind of stepped into the league. So it's going to be a really fun pool to watch.
I don't know if we have it in this game, but there was a fight that 100 Thieves won where they very clearly could have ended the game. They had
the mid
killed
one?
4 people. It might have been this
here we
fight.
go. I think it's this one, yeah.
But then they didn't end, and Doublelift got 4 more kills before the end of the game.
Stat padding already?
I mean,
Week 2 stat padding?
I want to hear the. I want to check the comps if they realize. I'm just kidding.
I mean, we'll see. I think it was just kind of, I'm sure someone called Baron and no one like second guessed it. Because like right here, you have 3 creeps and only, they're going to kill the Nami here.
This is over.
Only Kassante's up and it's 5-0. I feel like if you just go with your creeps, you can maybe win the game.
Well, for the highlights, it was over.
They won the game after that.
Oh,
This is
no.
just
Come on, baby.
bot lane domination.
That's just depressing. This game was really depressing for Tactical overall. That could not actually stop it. Like, he was getting dove in a 2v2. So, rough. I like the Sona, by the way. The Sona pickup versus Nami. I thought that was really smart from Core JJ.
Yeah.
They just dominated through that lane.
That was definitely the scrim meta this week, was disrupting Lucian Nami.
Yeah.
Happened twice.
Yeah, I got a little nervous here because TL had a stumble in this, I think it's this mid-game fight, and it gave me shades of the TSM comeback because you're up against, you know, this kind of scaling, casting and whatnot, but I think they did a good job recovering after this and kind of bringing it back down.
Yeah, Emily, weren't you saying TL was really relieved after this?
Yeah,
game?
that's actually what I was just about to say, is I think now that they've gotten their first win, they should be a lot less hesitant in those kind of like mid-game fights, hopefully, because yeah, they were like interviewing them afterwards, and like Core's like, oh my gosh, I was so nervous. Like, I was like, no, you guys are great. Like, you played really well, but obviously, I mean, it speaks to the amount of pressure that's on them, right?
By the way, also just this play, Revenge gave them a way back into the game. The pick onto Lucian with his Ssumday ulti, the two-man empowered Q that he was able to get, that looked like somehow it felt like such a doomed game that IMT could have won it. Didn't though, so they have to really fight for it tomorrow, as they are now 0-3. So happens.
Happens indeed. Here are the standings at the end of today. 2 of the 3-0 teams picked up a loss. TSM and CLG moving a little down the standings. C9 and FlyQuest untouched at the top. Dignitas, Golden Guardians, Immortals still not able to find one. And Team Liquid, though, did get out of the 0-2 category.
And we're only going to have one undefeated team after 2 weeks.
True.
Yeah.
Cloud9 FlyQuest. Bam, right away.
Boring.
Clean.
Boring game.
Sign me up for TL Golden Guardians.
TSM Hundo Thundo, that's the real grudge match, dude.
That's
Double
actually
Lift
pretty
versus TSM. If you don't know the lore, we will catch you up tomorrow. Don't want to leak too much content, but it's going to be a good pregame intro.
Yeah, we can't get into the legal action, but we can say
there's some, what was it, like cease and desists or something?
the drama goes deep.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Golden Guardians, man, because I actually do agree with Jat's assessment that they're like the best looking of the 0-3 teams, and what a tough schedule to have.
And I mean, yeah, and Gory coming in kind of sucks to come in and drop ship into 0-2, right? So like, there's a lot of work to be done there. And I think that they are starting to see the fruit of their labor. Obviously still losses, but the 2v2, they were actually winning quite early. It felt like the early chunk onto Winsome within the lane was really nice. He had a good game. And then immediately going mid and finding a pick there. I was like, okay, Rift Herald play. I'm liking where this is coming. So even though it does result in a loss, this is a pathway forward for them finding a win. Versus Team Liquid, very hard. Good luck.
I also want to congratulate the 3 of us.
Yeah?
We predicted all 5 games.
Oh my God. Woo! You need to get to work, Mark.
Mark Z, sign off. We'll be back tomorrow. Game 1 starts at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 Eastern. Goodbye.
Keep it up.
Do better, Mark.
Yeah, keep it up.
Get off me!
You might even win a game like Mark did at
Oh,
TL.
God.
See if they can do it. Ball breakers charge. Luger tries to get away, but it doesn't look like he's going to get there, my friends. First blood, back up into Berserker. Contracts gets a little bit more of a boost here from the Orianna. Speed enough to catch up, but it's reposted. Most of the damage is gone. Duplex over the wall. The outplay. It's Fudge. Again and again and again and again and again. He makes it happen for C9.
Lulu. Go push, guys. JD. Back there. Popping no flash.
No gale first, AD. Okay. Maybe just get the wave. Nice. Oh, help Wukong. Yeah.
Nice, guys.
And now we got a problem, as Gory's already dead with the culling over the wall, and Speaker finishes it off. You're gonna see Stixay grab one back onto Impact, but the man's gonna need to do a whole lot more. FlyQuest grab their second with River being taken out. Stixay has to flash away. He fires back, but Prince fires forward. A double kill over to Lucian.
Target? Anyone is good target?
Dodo's done. Yeah.
Diddy.
Buy through. Go buy through.
I can follow you. I'm ulting him.
Okay. Buy through, guys.
I'm coming up.
Another nice calling here, but a lot of that getting soaked up by the minions. They're gonna go in. The whole thing got soaked by the minions, man. Closer's staying alive, trying to get away from the Chaos Storm. As the pressure continues, they get the kill on spawn. They force Jensen away from the fight. Armin's still tanking the damage from the soldiers, and Tenacity bonks Jensen to death. Biofrost tries to escape, but the soldiers say no. It's 100 Thieves getting forward.
But are they going to go for the 2v2 times? They still know the flash cover's on their side. Yon and Core, Yon flashing forward. That's how you do it, baby. Is off, Rift walks out. Nexus is exposed. You don't even have to kill the cast and just go for the end, but they add up to the KDA. Team Liquid take their first win in the Spring Split. It's that's okay, because Evil Geniuses are cutting them beautifully. FBI gets to move on forward because Ssumday tanks up the takeout, and now FBI gets the step on forward, looks for the triple, dash it in, it's a quadra kill. Hey, they go into Jojo, but can you get to FBI? You called it out before, Kobe. They're using all these tools, but no one is taking on FBI, and Ssumday has an all-access pass to the back line of TSM. They're getting cut down to size. This time, it's Ssumday's time to shine. Evil Geniuses wipe the floor with TSM.
Snip, snip, and goodbye.